Welcome, everyone, to episode 321. Happy New Year. We start 2020 with a bang. My guest is Danika Stone. So Danika and I met at When Words Collide. What happened there was we met the book signing night. I remember this because I always tell the story about how I accidentally got published. And Danika was like, okay, how does one get accidentally published? And I told her the story, and she's like, okay, that is a really cool story. And we hit it off pretty good there, and I kind of wanted to chat with her because Danika is a very talented author, awesome human being as well. I really, really enjoyed my chat with her. This is, though, before we get into that conversation, this is going to be a different year. This is now about why I came to Vancouver. And I've been waiting for this ever since I walked in to Vancouver, is for it to be January 2nd, 2020, because that is when I am out of excuses. And that is when I go for what I'm going to go for. And I'll talk about more about that when we're finished getting 2 or 3 from our sponsors. So once we do that, we'll get to the good stuff. All right? Talk to you in a bit.
Think you have what it takes to survive? Then get your ass to Mars. Get Your Ass to Mars is the latest simulation sensation courtesy of Indie Imprint. You are pitted against the hostile nature of Mars. Can you survive and pave the way for future colonists? Or will you succumb to the many pitfalls and obstacles in your way? Get Your Ass to Mars, the Dragon Edition, is available now on PC and Steam. Go to indieimprint.com for more details.
Go for it.
All right. No, basically when I always do these tests, right, I always start with the idea of, let's break the ice. Let's actually make sure it's nice and calm, because I'm amazed how many people are nervous when I interview them. So it's like, okay, let's do something goofy on the Hangouts, and let's see what your reaction is. The most common answer I get is something funny, right? But whatever I've heard stories, I've heard epic things like that. But it's always fun and interesting to see who's who and what's what. The usual question I start with is, if you have anything incriminating you'd like to add, make it good.
Okay, I have nothing incriminating.
Yes.
Sadly, it will be a very boring interview if you're looking for...
Yeah, you know, but it got the reaction I wanted, which I got a little bit of a chuckle out of. So that was the goal. So how you been?
I've been good. It's been a crazy week since then. There was a big announcement about writer-in-residence, and I've just been I've got a couple books out on submission, so I've been just trying to get everything crammed into the last kind of week off that I had and get ready to start the upswing and take over that program, and it should be good. Yeah. So it's been a really busy time since When Words Collide, but things have been good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I've been doing as many interviews as I can, because I know BC is going to be there within a couple months, so it's like, well, let's see if I can grab as many interviews as I possibly can. I've had some good ones.
Good.
Yeah, so that's been me.
Challenge accepted.
Yes, pretty much. And then I designed a t-shirt. I'm working on getting a t-shirt design. So my first book's coming out hopefully in November. So I thought, since my first book has a unicorn that farts rainbows in it, that I actually do a unicorn-based t-shirt. So it's a unicorn farting out my Zen, which basically says sparkle, sparkle. So no matter what situation, and if you can look at it and that's what you can say, you own it. That's kind of, it's kind of one of those things. It's also, I thought, smart marketing for the book. And I've been given a couple authors agreed to give nice blurbs for the back of the book, so I'm like, sweet. So I sent that to them, and yeah, I'm just maintaining my week of chaos. Basically, I have a filmmaker I'm interviewing in the afternoon, and yeah, it's a weird thing because I do both writing and podcasting. It's really hard to balance the two sometimes, because one sometimes takes more demands than the other. And I'm trying to find that balance and fixture is challenging, but it's fun. I mean, I imagine for you're about to so writer in residence. Where are you writer in residencing?
It's for the Lethbridge Public Library. So basically, all of southern Alberta. It's that whole area. So basically, it's opened up to the public. I know they're going to do a letters program, so I'll be taking a look at what people have written about Lethbridge and shape them into stories. And then basically I've got open hours. So if there's authors out there, aspiring writers who are interested in how do you break into publishing, how, is this manuscript ready to query? I can do say the first 50 pages, do a manuscript evaluation, or just kind of give them support because, as you know, Josh, writing is so isolating sometimes.
Absolutely.
Just to have a person there who's in the trenches. Like, by no means am I a New York Times bestselling author, but at the same time, I've got, 5 books in bookstores now.
Well.
And just be able to help people in a real way.
Well, as far as New York Times bestseller go, I mean, good things come to those who wait, right? So, I mean, you never know. You never know. I always go with the concept that you should aspire to be however high you can possibly go. Like I like the crazier the goal, the better. You need them because, you are. I mean, as you so eloquently put it, you're in a vacuum sometimes, and because you are in a vacuum, I mean, it's cool that your imaginary friends have an adventure, and it's fun to actually, it's fun to be the conduit to put together their story. Same token, though,
it really is.
You need your own motivation for it, right? I mean, and and sometimes as I've pointed out to you, you get very lucky in very, very strange ways. But
is it a strange way, or is it like synchronicity? Like you set everything in motion, and then the universe kind of brings it back to you. Like I also believe that too. Like what you said about like aim high, and that's so true. But you're kind of open to it.
Yeah.
You kind of bring.
Well, it's a 2-part process. You have to be willing to. You have to have the goal in your head, but you also have to. I mean, there's the 2 other parts. One part you're going to screw up a little bit, and the other part is the open mind. You have to be open to everything, and the other part is you have to recognize opportunities when you see them and be able to seize them, and that takes some practice. I mean, I screwed up that way. Everything from relationships to to like other opportunities I've had in the past. I mean, you learn from those though. The one.
And it's funny how many of them look like a door closing in your face, but it's just another opportunity in a different way opening up. Kind of pushing.
Well, that's just it. I try to look at everything as an opportunity now. Right? Even if something really, 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 like, that in the moment isn't a good thing, it's like, okay, what did I really get out of this? And sometimes you get exactly what you want. Sometimes it is exactly what you want. The way you get there sometimes is like, I don't know, you need to go that way, but it happened. Does that make sense, right? That's how it actually works, right? So, you know how I accidentally got published. I feel you were a lot more deliberate than I was.
Probably sort of, but it was a long process. It really was. It wasn't, I don't know, like everybody thinks, okay, you make the book, you query the book, you get the agent, you sell the book. And that, I failed at that with my first book. Like, I'll just outright tell you, like, I was turned down 300 times. But what I did is I took all of the no but advice. So like, no, I'm not going to sign you, but here are some really good things. Sign you, but it's because I knew nothing about your writing skill. You're an unknown. And I really took those things to heart. So that the next time I queried with a different book, I actually came into it and I'd already done lots of blogging and I had a social media presence by that point, and I'd already written a couple manuscripts. So it's a very different thing to go into it that way. And then that kind of took off to the more traditional route, I guess.
Yeah, which is there's nothing. Did you, with the first book, did you end up publishing any of these on your own, or have you been traditional the whole way so far?
No, I did do indie publishing. So because I always feel like if you made something that you wanted to share, I see, like, when you're done, you recognize it's not going to be traditionally published. It's, too weird, or there's not a market for it, or whatever. I just feel like, why not put it out there? Yeah. So those books, I put them out. They just kind of do their own thing. They're self-published, and they just kind of were there. But my goal was always traditional publishing. So I did those things. I learned a lot about how the whole system works, working with editors. And then I went straight back to my goal. I wanted to be traditionally published, and that's where I went.
Yes, no, and that's admirable. First off, 300 no's is like, well, I mean, going for the no, I mean, that's part of the game. I mean, that's really like, especially if you know you're going the traditional route. I have a novel. I'm gonna go like, okay, the novel I talked about at When Worlds Collide, The Cloud Diver, that is not traditionally published. That's gonna be me being as goofy and creative as I possibly can, right? Everything from yeah, no. So like everything from the actual story to even the about the author page, I'm actually trying to figure out how to fatten a kitchen sink, right? because I always like, I think the one missed opportunity in a book, honestly, is the about the author section, because authors don't really know what to write in there anyway, right? So how do I do this without sounding pretentious? Right?
You just go with pretentious. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, I actually had different solutions. Like, hey, wait, what if I tell a story in here? What if I tell the story? Like I do a tale of tape between myself and a kitchen sink in the first book. And in the second book, the kitchen sink wins. And then the third book, I have to train. And then in the fourth book, I finally beat an over-the-hill version of the kitchen sink. It's oddly self-deprecating, but it's also, I also like, I like the idea of the fact that I do feel the book as a medium, there's still a lot of untapped potential what you can actually do with a book. One of the things I love about the young adult books in particular, is they take chances, even in traditional publishing, about how to design the books, how to execute the actual storytelling. I wish like traditional science fiction and fantasy were a little bit more like this, because I love that boldness. It's like, let's put a musical score in this story. Let's do what Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman did, and just do like a poem / like emails, like just put the story together using all these different styles of writing. I love that personally.
Yeah, you're right, and it's interesting that it is a little more cutting edge, and I'm not sure why, other than maybe the younger group that is reading them is like more open to that.
Yeah.
Because it is interesting. I've written also for adults, so I write like thrillers.
Yeah.
And they're very distinct structure. Like,
yeah,
when I send it to my editor, and they are traditionally published as well, but she has this structure that she is looking for, because you don't want to annoy your readers, and of course I don't. But it's funny, you have to learn that structure.
Yeah. And
I feel like YA is a little different than that. You have some more freedom.
Well, yeah, like YA can be anything from Dr. Seuss. I think who in my opinion is the greatest graphic novelist of all time. That's just my opinion. I'll leave it at that. But you can, like I say, you look at stuff, people like James Owen, you look at people like, like Holly Selig, you look at, like I said, Kaufman and Kristoff, you look at people that they take the medium, and I think that it's like, it's all storytelling. So why not? I get it. You gotta look at what your audience is. You gotta look at what they're willing to pay for. But even so, I think from an adult standpoint, I'm hoping to see more experimentation there. It's just me, but that's kind of the thing. That's why. But again, that's why I'm also doing this my book indie published, so I can experiment and go crazy. It's like, this is me being creative, as crazy creative as I can, and people like it. Fantastic. Yeah. And then when I go for my young adult, it's going to be like, well, this is going to be a little bit more traditional. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, you have to recognize that everybody's got to recognize, too, if you want to go traditional, there's an audience that's built in, which is what you want to tap into. But at the same token, they have their own expectations, and that's their business.
That's true. But sometimes turning those expectations on their head, like, those are the books that really stick with you.
Yes.
So it's not written in the way that you expect, and it kind of draws you in. So I think there's room for flexibility. I don't think we're quite there yet, but I think every book that gets published, it kind of pushes that boundary a bit more.
I hope so. I hope so. So right now, so you have 2 books right now in the process for the next year so far?
Okay, so I've got one that's set and it's ready to go. So I'm in the editing stage for Fall of Night. So that's my 3rd thriller about Waterton Park, and like it's always, there's a murder and then you're trying to figure out who it is. That one is from Stonehouse Publishing, which is actually an Alberta publisher, that comes out in fall of 2020. I have 2 other books. Both of them are young adult. And my agent is kind of deciding for submission. I know one of them is out right now. The other one is just kind of waiting in the wings. And then we'll go out on submission depending when she decides it's the right time. So it's exciting. So 3 books I'm kind of juggling all over the place.
Yeah, so you're going to have like one point in time when they all come out at once and you were going to like go, wow, you're prolific. And you're like, yeah. Shh.
Usually they don't come out at the same time. Usually, I'm fortunate, they've never ever totally coincided. So even though it feels like traditional publishing is 2 to 3 years out, always.
Yeah.
It's amazing. For me, it's always balanced out that I've had.
That's actually really cool.
Year.
Yeah,
so it just kind of worked out.
Because
the closest was about 6 months.
Yeah. Because usually, I've seen this with people that were like, especially when they're breaking in and they actually get in. Sometimes they have a whole bunch of books of them at once, and then suddenly they all hit at the same time. People go like, "Wow, you're prolific," and everybody's like, "No, I'm not. It just this is how it worked out. Please don't expect this next year. I got one." Yeah.
Because you had all those books that you couldn't get out. It's amazing. Once you're through that first door, like, I just want to say to, like, people who are struggling and they're like, I'm on, I don't know, query letter number 299, like I was. And they're feeling like they're beating their head against a wall. Like, it takes one person to fall in love with your work. And once you've got that agent who's going to go to the wall for you and who's going to, like, knock on doors and say, hey, I've got this great manuscript, it changes everything.
Yeah.
It was so much easier with every other book that I published just once I got one done.
Yeah.
So it's weird. You just kind of, I don't know. I have come to the feeling that it's less about talent and it's more about just chiseling handholds. Like, that's what publishing is. You never give up, and you just, every day you've got to just go a little bit higher.
So I have 8 rules. Do you know what my 8 rules are? If you've ever listened to the episode, I have 8 rules.
Yeah, I do. I love them.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Show up. I'm gonna do this PG because you are a young adult. You are a young adult author. Do your thing, right? Don't quit. The rest is rain. Get out of your own way. No excuses. Be grateful. Be thankful, and stay uncomfortable. Right?
Yeah.
Actually, this is an interesting one because I think this, like, I do understand this on one hand, but on the other hand, are there other genres you want to try? Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, young adult is definitely got a lot of room. And thrillers are fun. If I ever do movies, I want to do a thriller. Because thrillers are, you can play a lot in thriller, which is kind of...
It's so fun.
Yeah.
So, quick answer is yes.
Yeah.
The one... I don't know, it's sort of like a blade that cuts both ways. There's like, once you break in, then people consider that your genre. I was extremely lucky because I had a thriller coming out, and then all of a sudden I had, right after it, 6 months later, I had a YA. So I was really lucky. I kind of broke into 2. But at the same time, like, I have written a science fiction novel. It's not one of the ones that's... it's an adult one, so it's not out on submission right now because I'm just focusing on YA right now. But yeah, it's written. It's just waiting for the right moment.
Yeah, no. So because I have not read your young adult books yet. I'm sorry, I haven't read. Yeah. But so what genre is your young adult? Because young adult is such a diverse. Right? Is it romantic? Is it science fiction fantasy? Is it like another kind of like thriller, mystery? Like where do you fit in that category?
I think my category is just considered contemporary young adult. The first 2 books that I did, they were quite tech focused. Like, they had to do with fandom and cosplay and going to conventions. The 3rd book is really survival adventure. Yes, The main character is a gamer, but it is really like I take away everything that can solve the problem and throw them into the Canadian wilderness and say, like, go for it. And just see, like, what someone who grew up that way, like what would that do? And that main character is so fun to read because, like, nothing has prepared him for this. It's so awesome. I loved it.
So, okay, I could see the fish out of water thing definitely appealed to you on that one, right? So... Yeah. But I gotta go. I'm gonna go one way, and then we're gonna go back to the other, which is, so games. Do you play?
No, I'm not much of a gamer. My brother, who has passed away, he was a hardcore gamer. And have 3 boys, 2 of whom are teenagers. So, like, I'm constantly surrounded by it. I am just not...
It's not your thing.
I just never really got into it.
Yeah, no, it's totally cool. I'm always curious. I have a belief that whatever story you write is a reflection of something, like a story, like something you want to tell about yourself. I feel like as writers, we're writing for ourselves in the sense that we're writing about figuring things out about yourself. So you mentioned gamers and cosplay. I'm thinking, did she have a fun streak once upon a time, right?
I do. First of all, I love cosplay.
Yeah.
I go to a couple comic conventions every year. I went to San Diego Comic Con for the 3rd year in a row, presented there. I'm going to New York Comic Con in a few months. I think it's in early October.
Yeah.
I actually just got...
That's awesome.
Pitched is going. And then when it comes to gaming, so the main character of Switchback, Ash, one of his favorite games is Dungeons and Dragons. And if you actually think about that, the whole idea of building these worlds, I mean, that's what a writer is.
Yep.
Like living in the world that you create in your head and then having these rules that you've created to follow along and go on quests. I mean, that's writing. That's what I do. You know, you just live these little fantasies out. Mine, I happen to put in a book format, but I love it.
No, I just figured I'd bring that up because it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, let's talk. So, have you ever done? Okay, so real quick, have you ever done cosplay?
Yes, I do them all the time.
What's been your favorite?
Probably Wonder Woman. I have a really awesome Wonder Woman cosplay. I actually, this year, when I showed up at San Diego Comic Con, I literally got my badge out of the professional line, and I walked in, and there was like a big camera crew, and they're like, "Hey, Wonder Woman, can we interview you?" It was so awesome.
No, it's totally fun. No, it's my favorite. Like when I do conventions, doesn't matter. Like I haven't done New York yet, but I've done San Diego, and one of the things I love about any convention is you get to see. That's the way people express themselves, and it's really creative. My all-time favorite cosplay, though, was Big Kiss Demon and Baby Yoshi. It was actually really sweet to watch. Like you see this little like Yoshi and like pink Yoshi PJs, and you got the Big Kiss Demon with it. It was very sweet. That was my favorite I've seen. So
that is so awesome.
Yeah. So that's just me. So let's go for here. You put in a lot of time. I think here's the interesting thing. I think about people, like a lot of the traditionally published authors, you guys are very on the ball, like incredibly on the ball in terms of like getting your work ready, getting published, getting like everything on time. Because I think the most amazing thing I think about what independents don't always see it, but because again we have the luxury of no one's our boss, but. On the same token, right, we have to be we have to learn accountability. But I feel with the, like I've talked to Fonda Lee, Kelly Armstrong, and so on, I feel with the traditional, it's even more that way. It's a big machine you guys are a part of, and you have to deliver. Like that's the big pressure I think with traditional. So how do you stay on the ball?
I'll just be totally honest. I use lists, and I just shame. You and I talked a while ago about setting those goals like super high. The goals that I have that are really major goals, like sell this new young adult book to a publisher. I have that on a list. It sits beside my bed. I look at it every night, and every night I'm like, crap, I haven't done that yet, but I have it in my mind to work on it. Then I also, beside my computer, have the daily things that I have to do. So like, before I was talking to you today, I had to register all the panelists who are all authors for the panel that I pitched to New York Comic Con that got accepted. So I had to make sure that I went through and did all that. And I have lists. I go through about 1 page a day of lists. And I always look at it for the publishing end of it is that the biggest part of whether you're going to succeed or not, and I do mean long term. I don't mean like, you know, how many copies you sell. I mean, stay in the business. Are you reliable? Because if you, in a regular job, just didn't show up, and they're like, why are you not here at 9 a.m.? And they're like, well, I just figured I'd come in at noon because I just couldn't get here. Well, like, you wouldn't last long. And people don't realize it. It's exactly the same in publishing. Like, if I don't turn in my edits by the date required, everybody else is at work waiting for them, and they can't do their job. And there's just so many people employed by it. So I'm really good. I have an excellent reputation with my editor, with my agent. If I say I'm going to get it done, I'll get it done, and it will be early. And I have never missed a deadline. And it's just like a personal badge of honor.
Yes.
It's so important, though.
No, it's a big thing. Like, you have to be there, and you have to make sure you're there. So I got two other questions here. First off, I want to ask this because I do know quite often a lot of authors that do go in this direction, and that is movies. Would you love to see something of yours made into a movie? And if you have something that you can't talk about, I totally understand. It's just one of those things I always bring up because it's. I mean, books are definitely one of the places where movies get made these days. So.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, that would be like a dream for me. I would absolutely love it. I know that for the imprint my young adult books are with, A&E is in talks about doing some miniseries. I don't think mine will be selected.
Okay.
And it's just, I think mine don't translate well as serialized episodes. I think mine really well as them in the woods, and it's very dramatic, and there's a bear scene like The Revenant.
Yes, but
yeah, I would love if someone wanted to.
I don't know. The last one you sound like would be a fun miniseries. I think it'd be like it would be a good 4 or 5 episode miniseries because I love the idea of the fish out of water having to solve problems. Never like that would be really good. Like as a that's my opinion. I can't speak for the other two.
There you go. Well,
yeah,
McMillan should listen to your podcast.
Yes.
I would love that. So. No, nothing has been decided.
Yeah.
I just know that there is agreement between A&E and McMillan.
No. That's cool. No, good luck. I hope you get selected. But if not, then maybe something else. But that is something you would not mind down the road. If someone came to you and go, "We want to make a movie and of your stuff," would you be hands on or would you be hands off?
Usually you are just hands off. Like you just hire me on as a scriptwriter. For my thrillers that I write, so they're mystery thrillers, I have toyed with the idea of writing a script, like a screenplay. And that's because I wanted to finish the whole series. Yeah. And it's like a trilogy. But yeah, that's always in the back of my mind. Like, that might be a really interesting thing to do.
I will say this. I mean, this is just from experience. I've done a little bit of like mini indie film work. Thrillers they're fun and they're cheap. So I mean, the one thing. So if you ever if you even did like one of the things I would like a thriller should. I always think a thriller should do with a book trailer. So you should take a scene from the book and actually do it like a small little scene, and that would be the cliffhanger. Because again, thrillers are very fun. I think they're very underrated. They're a very underrated genre because they seem simple, but they actually you can put a lot of little things into the game once you throw it up there.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I agree, and it's funny. Your readers, for anything to do with the mystery thriller genre, your readers are reading to catch you. Like if you can pull the wool over their eyes, like that's amazing. I remember the best compliment I got was from Dinah, who is my editor, and it was the end of book 2, and she just messaged me after she finished reading it the first way through, and she was like, "Wow, I didn't see that coming, but it makes total sense." And I was like, "Yeah," because that's what you want to do.
Oh, absolutely. Well, absolutely. I always love it because it's usually a little line that doesn't seem important. It's usually where the answers really are, right? When I look at like movie stuff, like when you got to one of my favorites is The Matrix, right? The Oracle goes to him. What are you waiting? Like you're waiting for something. He goes, "What am I waiting for? The next life, baby." And then you see the end of the movie. It's like, "Oh my god, you gave it away!" And like that was brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Right. I think is a master. That's when you know you have someone in it because you see it and it hits like, oh, you guys. It's like like in a good way. So, okay, so I'm not going to pin you down with what's your favorite book because that probably be like pulling teeth with children. But I'm going to ask this. What have you learned? Because you've done a lot more books now. You definitely probably are a lot more comfortable with how you write. But what has been like the evolution from when you began to now? Like what have you personally learned?
Okay, that's a good question. At the beginning, I was in love with the process of that first draft, and I still am. I mean, that's why I write. It's like this high where you're just channeling. And what I've learned is that first draft is just for me. And you have to be okay with someone tearing it apart, because that will happen. And an example I often give is that with Switchback, which I absolutely love how it turned out, but there was a completely different character, because it's two of them, two best friends get lost, but it wasn't the best friend. And so I was writing a different book, and I just kind of stole another character out and like rewrote half the book. So when I sometimes say that at conventions or writer workshops, I'll have a few people in the audience be horrified and gasp and say, like, how could you do that to your work? And the answer is, if you want to be published traditionally, that second, third, fourth draft is not yours anymore. Only the first one is. And after that, you just have to suck it up and do whatever your editor says, because they have a different expertise. And that's what I've learned in the last, say, 10 years. It's that first little snippet of magic that I have when I just channel it all, that's wonderful, but that is 1/10 of the process. The other 90% is a group project that is part of this gigantic machine that I have to do my part to support. I can't be the reason the machine doesn't work.
No.
That would be what I've learned, and that's a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah. Okay, so, I now gotta ask this. So, obviously, it's definitely a collaborative process when you get to that point. So, but I imagine you still have a fairly decent say when you get to the second, third, fourth draft as well. Kind of like there's probably give and take, right? But I mean, I imagine your work, you do count. So.
No, it's true. And you of course can say, no, I absolutely want to keep this element. But something people forget is that when you sign that contract, you agree to do edits to the standard that your editor wants.
Absolutely.
And so, like, you're bound by that. I, of course, have say in it, and I'm the one writing it, so, like, I can spin it how I want. So, for instance, when my editor, Holly, was like, we absolutely love Vale. She's fantastic. Her side of the story about being lost in the woods is amazing. We love her. We feel for her. But we don't like this other character. Replace him. And I was like, okay, what do I do? And like I said, I had this other book. It's about Dungeons and Dragons and a bunch of kids playing, and it's awesome, like teenagers. And I just stole a character out of there. And I was like, here's this character, Ash. I already love him. Let's see what happens when he's best friends with Vale. And the story completely changed. And I'll be honest, it's like 10 times as good, 10 times as strong as it was before.
I want to get rid of the misinterpretation. If you are dealing with a traditionally published editor, at the end of the day, they want the best book possible. That's the goal. That is totally the goal. Just the way you made that sound, like it's like, okay, it's off to the aether now, right? So, right, but it's all good. I think we got a pretty good interview here. What do you think?
I think it's awesome. It has been so good talking to you. It just absolutely feels like just when we're just chilling at When Words Collide. It was good. Yeah.
So why don't we end it on this note? So you know when your next book's coming out, right? Or actually, when was your book or how, is it compared to your last book? When was the last book released versus when the next book's coming? Because if the last book was released, it was like sooner, like. If the last book was released like recently, we'll promote that one. But if the new one's like not that far away, we'll promote that one. So which one would you?
I'm going to talk about Switchback then.
Yeah, okay.
Which is my totally. Survival adventure. Takes place in Waterton Park. It's about a couple of kids from Lethbridge, and they go on a class trip, just kind of stupid class trip. The rain comes in, they can't see where they're going, and they get separated from their classmates, and then I make terrible things happen. It is so much fun.
I make terrible things happen. It's fun. I love it.
Oh, it is so much fun. Like, I am so terrible when I write. I purposefully put you on a cliffhanger, like, every single chapter. It's seriously.
That's the way it should. Like, that's the way it should be, though. You have to like put the stakes up, make them, no matter how absurd the stakes are, they have to feel like they're a threat to the character. Otherwise, what's the point, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so...
Well, this one does. This one definitely does. It's really not just with teenagers, but it's if you like survival stories or if you just like something that gets your heart pumping, it's great because you can do it from your armchair, but it's fun. It's really good. So yeah, Switchback, it's a Macmillan book. You can find it pretty much, I think, in any bookstore.
All right, and how can people find you if they want to find you?
If you search for Danika Stone, Danika is with a K, and then Stone is just as it sounds. Just search me online. I am everywhere. And you'll recognize me. I think my picture has a red beret on, and it's pretty consistent across everything. I have a lot of followers on Twitter. If you find me there, yeah, it's really easy.
And she's a lot of fun to talk to, ladies and gentlemen. She really, really is. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This episode of Just Joshing is sponsored by Indie Imprint. Indie Imprint supports creators by creators. Whether you are writing a book or creating a video game, Indie Imprint works with its clients to produce, edit, and present their projects to the world. For more information, check out their website at www.indieimprint.com.
And that was my conversation with Danika Stone. Check out her work. Switchback is a great book. I'm reading it right now. I just finished Jade City and I'm following up with hers. Danika is, without a doubt, an incredibly amazing human being and awesome author. Any of her books are amazing. Switchback's my kind of thing. I love the young adult stuff she does. But definitely check her stuff out however you want to. She's great, and I encourage you to explore what she can do. Danika, thank you very, very much for coming on my podcast. You are welcome back anytime you want. All right, so we are in 2020. So 2019, I'm going to be reiterating some of the things I said in my Facebook posts. But if you don't follow me there, this is what I basically said. 2019 was about rekindling my inspiration. Comfort is the enemy of progress. Comfort is the enemy of life. It's in our struggles that we find who we are. It's in our ability to embrace change that we can see what we're going for. Going out on a limb, as Colin Cowherd said when he went to Fox, going out on a limb is where you find fruit. That's where you find the best fruit. And that's what you got to do. You have to go on a limb. You have to take risk in life. And that's what I came out here to do. I didn't come out here to do exactly what I've done before. That's not the point. I am out here. 2020 is about me chasing every dream I have in the place I think I have the best chance of making it happen. I'm good at whatever happens, by the way. I know I'm going to fall flat on my face a little bit. I don't care. I'm good with, if I succeed, awesome. I'm still going to be here. I'm going to make a huge impact. I got goals in radio. I got goals in writing. I got goals in television. I got goals on every level imaginable. And I've been going out on a limb since New Year's Eve. I asked someone I really liked whether to go on a date. I got to know. But that's not a bad thing. Knowing exactly where you stand is an important thing. And I had got something more, and I think I actually made the friendship better going for it. You don't always get what you expect when you go out on these limbs, too. What happens, though, is good things tend to happen when you go for stuff. That's always the case. You can't be afraid to fail. You can't be afraid to succeed either. Both those things freeze you. Success creates expectations. Failure, you get told no. Failure, I think, is the easier of the two. I have a no to begin with. If I hear a no for real, I just know it's for certain. And all I really need to succeed is just one yes. So when you put it like that, that's the relevant path to success. Being specific, being relevant, being assertive, and it materializes before your eyes. That's the secret. And that's what I'm going to do in 2020. In fact, I've already started. Personal victories is the whole thing this year. I got personal victories, personal aspirations on an abundance of levels I'm going for. And I've already started. I submitted a short story yesterday as well. I'm nervous about it. Again, I'm not going to know. But then that's okay. I will eventually get my yeses. I'm not worried about that. It's when, where, how. This January 3rd, I'm going to be on radio. I am on CFSW. It's really, really, really fun. It was really, really fun to get that opportunity. I got interviewed. It was great. Again, a little dream come true. Got myself on the radio. So, check this out Friday. I think it's 11 a.m. Eastern time. Not Eastern time. 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. and Eastern time. Check me out there. And then I got a book coming out soon. I'm firing on all cylinders. My other goal this month, is to actually finish Cloud Diver 2. I'm going to launch Cloud Diver 1. I'm going to launch once that's done, Cloud Diver 2. The one promise I didn't quite manage to keep is I wanted to release Alice Zero for free for one day on December 25th. This year, this month, before the month is done, I'm going to do this, keep that promise to myself. Those personal victories matter. That is how you build esteem. So for me, to you, my listener, this is my wish for you. May you find the hero within yourself, that hero you have inside, and go, I can do this. Be that person you want to be on the inside and do the things you think will get you there. And don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to succeed. Just go out on that limb and be bold. That is my wish for each and every one of you this 2020. All right? And I will see you on the other side of it, hopefully, achieving something you'll be proud of for yourself. So, from me to you, good luck. I'm rooting for you. And if you need help, don't be afraid to holler. And that will do it for this episode of Just Joshing. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so a number of different ways. Subscribe to the podcast. I am on Podomatic, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. Just click on subscribe. You'll find plenty of episodes to listen to, including some of the ones I thought were the best ones of the year. They're there. Check them out. They're awesome. Support my sponsor, Indie Imprint. Got to get the game, get your ass to Mars. Support any one of the artists there. Support some of my friends. That'd be great. Buy my merchandise, jpenteloresco.redbubble.com. I have a t-shirt that says Sparkle Sparkle. It's awesome. It's how I approach life. Definitely check out my merch there, jpenteloresco.redbubble.com. My books with Mirror Publishing, The Watcher, Storm Dancer, Wandering God, currently available through there, mirrorpublishing.com, Amazon, Kobo, wherever your books are sold, you can find my stuff there. Beyond that, can't wait for the Cloud Diver. That is coming this month, one way or the other. My Twitter is at jpenteloresco, so is my Instagram. My Facebook page is Joshua Penteloresco, author, podcaster. Click a like, subscribe. My YouTube channel is Joshua Penteloresco. Stay inspired. Be heroic. Dream with your eyes wide open. And I will see you next time.
Josh.